Hey, welcome back, everybody. Tulsi Gabbard, longtime Democrat, leaves the party. She's quoted as saying, accusing the Biden administration of weaponizing law enforcement into a political hit squad. And people in the Democrat Party say they are not going to shed a tear over her leaving. Her, quote, self-imposed exile. It's coming up next. Welcome to the Matt Logan Show. So, Dan Rather, all the big ones, they're just going after it.
Why did they not go after her until now, if she's such a bad person?
Did you see my post?
No. Well, which one?
The Tulsi Gabbard one?
No, actually, I didn't. Sorry.
I thought you did. So I did. All I said was two words: "Smears coming?" ? She announces it, and they're all over the place within hours.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, yeah, okay.
Kind of like eating their own.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the Republicans aren't the same, but sometimes maybe rightfully so. Let's we could talk about Liz Cheney and that mess there. What a joke! But we're going to talk about Tulsi.
Okay.
She's accused of drifting relentlessly rightward. I don't know. It's so. So what I did, let me say this. What I did was I looked up her record, and she has been a Democrat in office since 2001, I think it was. No, I don't have it in front of me, but it's like, So who moved is the question.
That's a good question.
So,
and I looked up her
2002,
history.
I think it looks like, yeah.
I looked up her history too, and I think what's refreshing about her is she was never the status quo. She didn't follow lockstep with her party, and I think if anybody's true to their word, you're not going to agree with everything that your party says.
Right.
So I give her credit for that. Because looking at her stance on a lot of things, she hasn't been lockstep her entire career.
No. I don't see that she's also weighed from what she believes is the right thing to do.
I would agree with that too, yeah.
It's not like she's
stuck to her principles.
Principles, yes. She's a principle-based person, not an ideal or
idealist.
Idealist, yeah. She's not an idealist. She's not going with the flow.
Right, the latest and greatest.
Yeah.
That is our political system right now.
Yeah, on either side.
Definitely.
She in military career, so she had a really good military career. Also, she was deployed 2 different times, each for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, that's fantastic. Thank you, Tulsi, for that wholeheartedly. That is something that I really anybody who serves in our country and our military, I am very grateful for. No matter what your political beliefs are, thank you for serving. And so that she loves her country.
Absolutely.
She went on to officer school and all these other things too. Essentially, her political career was going well, and she didn't go up for re-election because of her military commitment.
Right, because she was on deployment, I believe.
I think she could have still run.
Right, but it would have been tough.
It would have been difficult, but she still could have done it, and so she decided to, not do it and split her energies and things. So, and then of course she ran on the Democrat ticket for president in 2020.
And she was actually vice chair of the DNC for a while.
So
she was pretty tight with
this
the
is
party.
This is not an outside peripheral Democrat positions
This
that she's
isn't-
had. She's been in the inner circle.
Yeah, this isn't Bernie Sanders,
No.
who just hops on the party when he wants to run for election.
Yes.
And she backed Bernie
Yes.
after her race ended.
Which I don't think that was really wise, in my opinion. But whatever. She stuck to her principles, and he was the closest, whatever. So that's fine.
The least of
Yeah, but the
least
problem
evil.
yeah, totally. But the problem for me with Bernie is he's an opportunist, and he becomes a multi-millionaire, and then he's like, oh wait, I got to get rid of that. The billionaires, we're going to go after the billionaires.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, Bernie.
Yep.
Whatever. So, but she actually called out was it the debate? I believe I remember Kamala Harris and her record as district attorney and some of those things, and how that all went down. And so, of course, they put the pressure on her, and not long after that, she was gone
Yeah.
from the presidential race. So, interesting.
Yeah.
I applaud her. Not for just leaving. I don't know. I don't even know. Honestly, is she going? What is she going to do? I really don't know. I didn't want to know.
It sounds like she's going to be an independent.
Okay.
So, and there's a lot of information and a lot of opinions out on what's her end game for this. Is she going to run for president as an independent? Because she's only 41.
Yeah. So
She's
she
born
would've-
in 81.
While she was running, she wasn't old enough to be president. But by the time the elections came around, or whatever that date was, not the election specifically,
The
but whatever that date was,
inauguration.
she was just going to be old enough.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
I've seen stuff where would she run as an independent? Would she run as a vice presidential candidate on the Republican Party? Whoever that would be, whether it be Trump or DeSantis or any number of people that
Elon
would throw
Musk
their
or Rob Schneider or Craig Uglin.
be interesting. That'd be a no. Yeah, I'd almost have a chance to carry somebody's shoes that's running for president. It'll be interesting to see where this goes. I mean, yeah, she's going to get bashed by, the left for quite some time, and they'll find somebody else to pick on in a couple weeks. But it's pretty ballsy for her to just disown her party after being the vice president of the DNC for like 4 years or 5 years.
Yeah.
And running on the ticket for president. That's pretty big.
It's very big. And I hope people understand the weight of this decision and what that means, like, for the Democrat Party.
Right. Are there going to be other people that are going to follow in her steps? Because they, and her reasoning is the Democratic Party has left their following. They've gone so extreme that they've left.
There's no, they don't have any principles. I mean, we've talked about that before, and within years or even less, they've changed completely, a very, very solid stance on certain things. And it just, the way the wind blows.
Right. And even the extremes, AOC is not
in
voting for the stuff that she preached and preached and preached.
Yeah, she's in trouble. So her constituents aren't showing up for her at all.
Yeah, there's some video this week of a campaign stop for her, and there's like 30 people in the room.
Yeah. It's pretty bad.
Kind of like when Bernie was up in, was it Duluth last week?
I'm not sure.
And there was a handful of people there, yeah.
Sure.
It's pretty sad.
Yeah. And most of those people were probably reporters trying to learn more. But anyway, I didn't look at what some of the guesses were for the future for Tulsi. I wanted to know a little bit more of who she was, where this – obviously this didn't come out of nowhere. I knew who she was. I'd listened to her speak a couple of different speeches, and then a couple different podcasts in the past. And so I'm not brand new to her, but I found it very interesting, some of her background, that she would leave the Democrat Party. I would assume someone of her stature in the Democrat Party, they would want to make sure she was semi-happy and maybe just kind of keep her more in the background and keep her happy there. So this was a pretty powerful thing for her to do.
But on the other side of that, you look at her voting history. She's never been lockstep.
No, I
never been a
agree.
party
Right, that's
person.
what I'm saying. I didn't really realize that.
Yeah, I didn't
But,
either.
This kind of shines a light. Timing, obviously, on this was not an accident with midterms around the corner. I guess...
And the press secretary wouldn't answer any questions about it on Air Force One.
Right.
Was it yesterday or today?
Right.
Didn't want to address it.
Right. So
Yeah.
it didn't come out of left field. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of them, probably even begged her to not do this and things too. But I have to say that a lot of things her and I don't align on. But there are a lot of things that we certainly do, and there's a lot of things that I don't align with myself on mistakes I've made either. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
that's just reality. So I got to applaud her for holding to her principles.
Yeah, standing her ground and holding her guns.
Yeah.
Or sticking to her guns.
And-
Whatever analogy you want to use.
And it only took hours, and the smears were everywhere.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I was watching a podcast that I'd heard of it, and I never gave it the time of day. And it was amazing. The
Joe Rogan podcast, is that?
No, I don't actually listen to him on the regular. I listen to a lot of clips, but it was the Young Turks or something.
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
I've listened to them.
And the gal that was talking about Gabby, I mean, she was just, and I'm not a well-spoken podcaster by any means, but this gal was just, she didn't come across very intelligent.
Sure.
And trying to bury Tulsi and, I was trying to call her out 20 years ago, and it's just like, you're so full of yourself.
Yeah. Was it one of the young, one of the young no,
Turk gals?
they're awful.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
I'll never
really-
watch it again.
They're I don't say this often, but almost everything I've heard, I've never watched them, I've just listened. Almost everything I've heard them do is just they're despicable people.
The comments were
Or they're despicable hosts. I don't know how they are as people. Let me make that clear. And the way that they're talking about people is disgusting.
the comments on the video I watched. It was on YouTube. The comments I watched were pretty 50-50.
Sure.
Of a lot of people were supporting the show and their stance, and the other half was like, "You have no idea what you're talking about. You sound like an idiot," which I'm sure some of our viewers probably say the same about us. But
yeah, I get some hate mail for sure.
you know the best part of it? It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
You know what the best part of it is, though, really? Not that it doesn't matter, but even a level up from it doesn't matter is I did work extremely hard to invite people that didn't agree with me to come and sit down and turn a camera on with me. Mm-hmm. Dozens and dozens of those people. And, nobody that disagreed with me on things would ever come and sit down and do face-to-face and turn a camera on.
It's not worth their time.
Well, they make stupid excuses. Mm-hmm. It's so what I learned from that is they just want to be keyboard warriors, I believe as you call them. Yep. I say thumb wars. Mm-hmm. They just want to have thumb wars with people, and that makes them feel better or whatever. And they're adult bullies.
Yeah.
And they just want to degrade people and make fun of everything that's a view that they don't believe is right. So let's debate that.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Are you afraid that I'm going to persuade you to see it my way, or are you afraid of what is it?
Or defend your stance.
And so I'm just not going to give that time anymore. And because I gave that too much time to try and like help me understand this. I mean, I've had almost every guest that I've had on here, except for you, Craig. About every guest that I've had on here has commented in some fashion, and I'm not going to say it verbatim because there's been dozens and dozens, but have said that my interest is to learn more, A, about the person, and B, about what the topic is we're talking about, and that is my interest. My interest isn't being right. My interest is learning more, and sure, I'll give my opinion. Absolutely.
Yeah, let's have a conversation.
And a
civil conversation.
Yes. And I don't know why that escapes so many people. It sucks. It's disappointing. We're in trouble because of we're never going to always agree as a human race.
You don't want to. You don't want everybody to have the same thoughts.
But you also have to understand that a certain way is never a good way. One way is never a good way to run a society, period. I mean, the forefathers, the Constitution, and the way that was set up, I mean...
They had it figured. They were way ahead of their time.
Way.
Yeah.
Way
Even
ahead.
now, like, I don't know if there's people on this earth today that could have written that.
No.
As good as it was
I agree.
written.
I totally agree. No, I don't think there is. I think if we look at it from that perspective, a constitution, if we got rid of everything today for laws and all these other things and went right back to the Constitution, and held to that, which means holding people accountable, we would be in a very good place very shortly.
We would survive.
Yes. Yep. But because all these other things, and that gets... Anyway, I know we got off a little bit on that one again, but there's so much nuance to all these things, and that's what people don't understand. It's like, in my opinion, they don't understand anyway, that it's like, well, this is the way it's got to be because I think it.
You touched on this a little bit, and I kind of had a revelation of this week with some local races, and this group of people are on their Facebook pages, and they're just bashing this person, and it was the same people that went after me, and I took it personally when I was running for city council, and I look at it now, and I'm like, what they say, it doesn't mean anything because nobody outside of their little circle is listening to what they have to say.
Right.
And you're not going to get any of their votes or win over any of their hearts or minds anyway.
Right.
So why even pay attention to them? Why even give them credit? They're just sitting there bashing the people that they don't agree with.
Yep.
And they just get each other into frenzy.
Yep.
And get all worked up about something that they don't have control over. And they think that they're influencing other voters. And it's like, those are your opinions.
And it's not,
and it doesn't mean anything.
And there's those sections of people on like both sides of the aisle.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing that I've never said. I mean, I probably won't ever vote for a Democrat in my life again. I have voted for Democrats in the past. I probably will never do it again, unless something in my lifetime, like it did for Tulsi, swing so far for the Republican Party, and then the Democrats swing some other way or whatever.
Just fill in the middle.
But, I will never vote for a Democrat again in my life because they, if anything, the Republicans have sort of held their ground on a lot of things over a lot of years on the Republican side. And so that's the lesser of evils, as we've talked about, for me.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with everything, for sure. But I'm never going to agree with everything. It's impossible.
There's no one-size-fits-all for a
No.
political party.
And if you can't, I talked about this a while ago. I've talked about it with Trump too, and people always keep bringing Trump up, and so I do it because they do, and I say they, the left, and they're like, well, you never criticize Trump. And I don't say that for me. I'm saying that when people are criticizing Biden right now and they say, well, you never criticize Trump. And it's like, no, a lot of people did, and I included. And there's a lot of things I did agree with that he did, and I think that as far as for the populace of the United States of America, he did a pretty good job.
He just needed to stay off of social media.
He needed to.
He had some pretty good policies.
He's egotistical for sure.
Oh, totally.
And I'm not saying I'm not. I mean, there's certainly times I am, man. But, and I talk about that too, know thyself. He knew that. He knew that about himself, and he was okay with it.
He was 100% okay with it.
And so, great. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, I've criticized her, but I would lean more towards the way she would vote as far as a whole in the United States, right? But I don't agree with 100% of her antics and some of these things either. So that's my whole point here is that it's not we have to understand as people in society, we're not going to always agree. But there's a lot that we can agree on.
And we can still have civil conversations.
Exactly.
We should have civil conversations.
Yeah. This civil conversation has come to an end. If you have a comment about Craig, no, I'm just kidding.
Matt's hair. Any comments
hair?
about Matt's hair?
Yeah. Email Matt@mattloganspeaks.com. See you next time.